Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarket's podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Good to have you here. After all these 9 years of rocking and rolling and doing all this great automotive aftermarket podcasts, super great to have you here. You know, we all know someone who's been affected by breast cancer. And did you know that our automotive aftermarket service and repair industry has an initiative started by two shop owners? It's Brakes for Breasts. So far, $1.8 million has been raised for a vaccine for triple-negative breast cancer. Did I mention it's in clinical trials? 100% of every dollar, penny, nickel, dime, quarter donated goes directly to research at the Cleveland Clinic. We need your help and involvement as the vaccine is in clinical trials. As I said, please go to brakesforbreasts.com. Enroll your shop in this cause, please. Who in the heck is sitting here with me in Canton, Ohio? We're here to go to the Football Hall of Fame, right, Matt?
Visit, yes. Visit. I've been turned down many years, so I don't think I'm getting inducted.
You're a football kind of guy. I've always thought that.
Get hit in the head a lot.
Well, I'm here with daughter Tracy, and we're at State College here.
Yeah, I've been looking around for Tony Stark, and I have yet to find him.
Yeah, so me either.
A little upset.
But there is a really cool Iron Man suit in the back closet where the
functioning.
Yeah. That's where the janitor keeps his stuff. Maybe it's
Jan Etor.
NAPA has the EV Ready Training Center here, and we're here for an entire week to hang out and to go to training and to observe what's going on. Pretty impressive stuff so far.
Not pretty, like extremely. I'll level with you. When I came in, I did not have very high expectations. I just didn't. And it's not like a dig at any one entity, but I've been to a few classes here and there and some EV training here and there. I mean, for one, I'm kind of speechless. I think there's a lot going on. One, the team of Bill and Jim have worked extremely hard on the curriculum. And then I think we have that I don't think you can create it. I don't think it can be purposeful, but we have this just wonderful, what's the word I want to use? Like just wonderful union of personality, presentation, and content.
I like that.
I
absolutely love that. I mean, he's a gregarious guy, but he's also a no-nonsense guy.
No nonsense. He's passionate about it. You can watch it, and not like absurdly passionate, just professionally, reasonably, and how he presents it. Not just is he passionate about this subject, he knows it. For day one was about safety. Around this high voltage, we should not be discounting safety. We should not be blowing it off. Okay? It's not like college first day where your safety classes type stuff. This is
serious stuff.
This is serious. And not that safety classes aren't serious, but come on. People do tend to blow that off. Probably shouldn't. But this really should not be blown off. You shouldn't be scared of working on these vehicles. But you should have a healthy respect of what you're dealing with and when you are technically in danger. You know, when you are realistically in danger and what you need to do to protect yourself. And that was day one. And you would think that would be the snooze fest. But because of Bill's personality and presentation and passion and the amount of work he and Jim needs to be talked about in this, developing this curriculum, the content, it is no way a snooze fest. And because of the way they're talking about it and making references to real world things that we in the field that have been working on hybrids and EVs already, because he can reference that, you know the guy's been involved in it. You know he's been doing stuff on these vehicles. I can't tell you how impressed I am. I guess I'm always a little worried that people think I might be kind of blowing smoke up people's butts about certain things, you know.
Did I mention that it's Matt Fanslow with me here from Riverside Automotive? I never had a chance to introduce you, but I'm assuming that the minute you spoke, people knew who it was.
Yeah, they maybe turned the channel.
At the other end of the microphone. Matt, you're so right. Bill brought enough to move you into saying, I'm in the right place or I'm not. I'm going to learn this stuff or I'm not. And even as an individual like me, we speak about, you're doing the heavy lift as far as the technical side and mechanical side of our industry, and I'm doing the heavy lift on leadership, emotions, processes, systems, coaching, profitability, finance, all of that stuff. And I'm sitting in the class next to you and Tracy, and I'm looking up and I'm watching all these graphics go through the screen about P1, P2, P3, P4, and where the ICE engine is in the powertrain. And ultimately, I'm watching as Bill is explaining the evolution into EV. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it's like, I got it. I couldn't believe how I was way cloudy. And then at the end of the hour, I said, oh my God, conceptually, Matt, I got it. You're in the trenches. You do this for a living. For you probably didn't need to see this, but there's an awful lot of people that need to see this. They need to go to this training.
I maybe didn't need to see it when I saw it here, but at one point I needed to see it.
Right.
I don't know why just this assumption that even if you've been working on these for a little bit, this is a 1 week course. I think it's 4 days, and I'm pretty sure 4 full days. Everybody had to at some point see the breakdown, especially if you're not make car line specific or model specific. If you're working on, as I do, all makes, all models, and really just multiple makes and multiple models where there could be different configurations, or gearing up to take your, I think it's the L3 advanced, like electric vehicle test, hybrid vehicle test for ASE, you have to be aware of configurations. And the way he did it and explained it, not just the diagram, but also the explaining it and why it's important. Sure, I'm somewhat familiar with it, but it just reinforces it, and it fills in little gaps that either I knew I had or I didn't know I had. And again, when he's making references to this stuff, to vehicles themselves or real world problems that you see on these vehicles, the confidence level keeps going up in the instructor, in the content. It's beyond the point of, I would heavily recommend this to anybody and everybody, regardless of your skill set when it comes to hybrid or EV.
Did you learn anything new?
Oh, absolutely.
You did? In concept?
I think so.
Yeah.
And also, I guess there's certain things I fear, of course, this comes off egotistical, and I don't mean it that way, but sometimes it's nice to know that you know more than you thought you did.
Yeah. It's a confirmation of,
I'm on the right track.
Yeah. And even for a lay person like me, I didn't know where the ICE engine started and where the electric, and the way Bill was explaining it, I got it. And I never really knew systematically how it worked.
So an example of something I feel I learned, right? Because it's easy to sit here and just say like, oh yeah, I learned something, and then move on to some other topic. That he brought up ghost voltage and asked if anybody had heard of that before. And I had. But my experience in learning about it, or not so much about ghost voltage, but what somebody thought was ghost voltage really wasn't ghost voltage. It's how the car tested itself for insulation. So I don't know that we're going to get really into the details of electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles, but you have a high voltage system that is isolated from the rest of the car. Okay. But they're testing that constantly. And the way they do that, if you're testing for a leak, high voltage leak a certain way, you may see something that doesn't make sense. And it got chalked up as ghost voltage. That was my introduction to it. So in this case, or my case, ghost voltage was kind of BS. It was not what was going on. It was not ghost voltage. But Bill starts bringing up ghost voltage where, okay, this phenomena is real. And he gave examples, specific examples with not so much case studies, but slides and a video of where he's witnessing it. That was important to learn. That when I see these things happen, I don't blow them off, that there is another step I could take to verify what's going on.
Yeah. Arc.
I've heard about that. So arc flash.
Arc flash.
Yes.
That was so interesting.
I only knew about it because we were, a shop I was working at was adding on, and when they were adding on to the shop, it was a sizable addition. There's an electrician there, and he was wiring up the breaker box and everything. And he was talking about how if this was, I think, 480 volts coming into the shop, he would have had to get all suited up. And we're like, what? I'm like, me, it was me and a coworker were over there, but I'm the one asking him, like, suited up for what? What, are you going to be grabbing the wires and just high voltage? He's like, no, if something bad happens, I could get arc flashed. And it's like, arc flashed? We get that all the time. We just spray the plug wires with water and we get arc flashed all the time. He's laughing and he's like, no, it's worse than that. I'm like, dude, that's like 20,000 volts. How much worse you're going to get? He's like, okay, that isn't really what we're protecting ourselves against. It isn't the voltage. It's what happens is it vaporizes the copper and then we get hit with it. And if we're not suited up, it's bad. The burn, of course, your skin getting hit with very, very hot vaporized copper, life-threatening.
Matt, look, over the years, we have all learned how to shortcut stuff.
Yes.
And as much as we were given the training to respect the protection that you need, what could happen, you think enough people out there are going to respect what needs to be done, the shield, the arc clothing, the hood, all that stuff, just in case?
No. Not only have we learned shortcuts, we
live them.
The profession itself in many cases rewards effective shortcuts.
Oh, stop. Hold it right there. He kept saying over and over again, this can't be a flat rate job.
Yeah, we can't reward speed when it comes to safety, because the issue is, and I'm stealing this straight from Bill Weaver, the presenter and half of the development team for this class that I'm aware of. Maybe there's more, but I'm aware of two.
NAPA Auto Tech.
That you're not doing all this. You're not going through these hoops. You're not wearing this personal protection equipment and the gloves and the shields and the suits or whatever. You're not wearing that on your best day or for your best day. You're wearing it. You're following these protocols for your worst day, so that when things go wrong,
and they will,
and they over time, eventually, statistically, something bad will happen.
Yeah.
That they're there for that bad day. The gloves are there to get you out of trouble. The insulated tools are there. That one time you dropped the ratchet, dropped the socket and extension, and it hit just right. That's when that comes into play. That's when that's important. It's not all those other times where you weren't using the insulated tools and you dropped it and it could have been bad, but it wasn't.
It is nothing like working on an ICE engine where you can recover yourself and you may not get damaged that bad. We're working with electricity here, and I don't know if enough of us really respect it. And that's what part of what blew me away yesterday was AC versus DC. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. I had no idea the power that DC had.
Right. I think everybody who's done anything at their house with outlets, whether you're doing home improvements or not, a bad cord has gotten zapped with 120 volt AC. And it hits you at 60 hertz, which is 60 times a second, which is fast, relatively speaking. It's fast. But there's gaps there that allow you escape. And we have other things going on about the voltage level and the current and all that. But the reality is getting smacked with 120 volts AC isn't exactly the same as getting hit with 300 volts DC. Because when that hits you, there's no let up. There's no frequency. It's there or not, and you're getting it. And there's levels at really, really low current levels. So levels of voltage at very low current levels that cause certain reactions, which are, of course, ouch, and maybe a burn, and then where it's kind of taken over control of your muscles. And we've heard about people with AC voltage where power lines have fallen and somebody went over to move something and they got hit with it and they're touching it and they can't let go. And then somebody runs over to help and they grab them and then they can't let go. And it takes somebody with knowledge or luck to get everyone disconnected and then hopefully resuscitated or treated. We've heard about that. Well, that can happen with this. It's fun to joke around about the hockey sticks in the shop. It's fun to joke around about the drop kicks. But the reality is that one bad decision, that one time you weren't wearing the proper protection, you weren't following the proper protocols, and the stars aligned just right, you're hoping, maybe not consciously during it, but hopefully somebody sees and comes and saves you and knows to drop kick you or knows to grab the hook and get you disengaged and get you treated. It's like, I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to sound like overly cautious and, oh my God, the world is falling. But there needs to be a bit of a healthy respect from us of what we're doing, respecting the voltages we're dealing with, respecting the car, respecting ourselves and our health and well-being and our coworkers. And then if we start doing that, I think the public naturally follows along and will start respecting that, hey, they're dealing with my electric vehicle today. They're going to be dropping the high voltage battery. I hope they're okay.
I know we're not trying to do this episode to scare anybody.
No,
I think this episode's about it's about respect.
Yeah, just respect.
It's all about respect, and so let's talk about this. It reminds me of ADAS and people getting into ADAS, people getting into 1, 2, 3, 4 YF. There's all these new things happening, and people are really starting to think and question: do I need to get into this? How many in my market are doing this? Hybrids have been around, I'm guessing, 15 years.
Quite a while.
And we've seen the slides on the evolution of the Prius, the different evolutionary models of it. And I keep thinking about, when is someone going to seriously be in the EV business? Seriously be in the EV business. And look, we know how much you're doing in your shop. You told me, Carm, we're doing tires, we're doing chassis stuff. Mm-hmm. But as they become more forefront, and as much as we say they're going to go away, they're not. And it may take a little longer to build the kind of consortium of customers that are going to bring in their EVs after so many years. If you're not putting up the shingle, if you're not trying, if you're not sending your team for training, if you're not buying the PPE equipment to have so that we really can't take a look at that thing because we're not quite sure how to protect ourselves. Don't wait. If you're a progressive shop, you're going to be around a long time. Jump in.
I mean, do you want to be active or reactive? And too often, not digging at the auto repair profession, human beings typically like to default to reactive.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Right. I'm going to mind my backyard. I'm going to take care of my own, mind my own business. And then if trouble still finds me, then I will react.
If trouble finds me.
It's a Steven Seagal movie. Actually true.
A movie reference. Now that's interesting.
I've made a few and they've been subtle. But it's true though. We tend to wait. 1234 YF is, I think, a really good example.
Yeah.
That it's been out now for quite a while.
Yeah.
5+ years. Okay. I would say this year is the first year I've really seen shops now making the move to buying equipment for it. Really because they didn't feel like there's enough car counts to justify the investment and they weren't seeing it enough in their bays, but now they're making the investment. And I'm not sure about the timing, because if you have the shop that's already been doing it for a while, do they have the market kind of cornered and now you're fighting that? ADAS, that's been in your bay for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It's been there. If you have no education about it, you haven't been doing anything about it. And it's potentially dangerous, right? I'm not trying to insinuate we're all going to get sued and all that. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't seen that really yet.
Okay. But you're subletting YF, you're subletting ADAS.
I don't know that people are even subletting ADAS.
I know, and I'm telling you, great friend of mine in Buffalo has an ADAS piece of equipment, Tom Ciortino. And Tommy, I see him all the time. We're always on the phone. We're always talking. He says, Carm, I'm getting jobs from shops that they didn't fix something right the first time and it came in and they never recommended a calibration to a customer and he needed it so bad it wasn't working. Nothing was working right. It was either lane keep or cruise. And he's saying they don't have it. They're not caring. They're not following through. They're not follow-up testing. The customer coming in says, well, they couldn't fix it right. Can you? It needed a calibration. Why are we ignoring it as an industry? I know.
I wish I had an answer, because
you don't. But it's a statement. That it's a statement, not a question that I'm asking and that I'm telling people that sooner or later, if you don't get in it, and I respect that fact, please connect yourself with a shop owner down the road that has one and get that customer's vehicle there because you owe it to them.
Well, and start educating yourself enough to know when something has to be done. That we've had this stuff removed. We've removed these bumper skins or these bumpers or these
Did a major alignment.
Grills, major alignment.
Yeah.
Where thrust angle was changed significantly. Who knows? There's many scenarios. I don't know how important all the scenarios are, but just educate yourself to the point to know that something must be done. And if your shop's incapable of doing it, of sourcing an entity that can, and then starting to consider, do we want to become capable or not? There's no right or wrong answer to that. You have to answer that for yourself. But I don't see the logic at all in ignoring it. I don't see the logic of just clicking past the warning on your alignment machine that says it may or it will require this calibration. And I really don't understand the demonization of the shop down the street that properly quoted the client hundreds of dollars for this alignment, wheel alignment, because they knew it was going to need a calibration and they're capable of doing the calibration in-house. But you're telling the customer it's going to be under $100. And the customer is now upset. Like, why did Riverside Automotive tell me it was going to be hundreds of dollars? They said it needed this calibration. And you told them, well, we've been doing this for years and years and years. It's never been a thing. We've never had to do that. And we can roll that into EV.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Hey, APEX 2024 registration is now open at AAPEX.com. Now, APEX has an incredible value for the service professional, shop owner, technician, and service advisor. Joe's Garage is your place to hang out with 10 working bays and real live working conditions. You'll find special seminars on Audi, VW, BMW, Mercedes, Tesla, under the hood diagnostics, advanced drivability, ADAS calibration, transmission training from ATRA, and more. Business and sales training on mastering organizational skills, time management, leading your team, and driving profits, among others. This year, the training courses are some of the best offered ever with the industry's best and brightest trainers and coaches. This year's APEX 2024 will have more product demos, trending training, marketing and social media support to help you grow your career, sales, and profits. Remember, if you earn your living in the aftermarket, then APEX is the expo for you. Continue listening as we bring you the latest from APEX 2024 and save the date, November 5th through the 7th. Don't hesitate. Go to AAPEXshow.com. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, will be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax, that's NAPATRACS.com. Hey, ever wonder how your labor rate compares to your market and state? You now have a site where you can confidentially upload your rate and see other labor rates published in your market. LaborRateTracker.com is an important site to know about. Currently, the database has over 1,000 shops participating and growing every day. But there's more to setting your rates than finding out what others charge. You should look at the labor rates in your state and town to gain a complete picture of the labor rate landscape. Hey, it's easy. Get market intelligence like never before at LaborRateTracker.com. We're such an interesting crossroads.
Yes.
With a formulated, there's going to be new refrigerants coming out. We've done a ton of episodes on it. We were at the MAX conference, met so many great people, continuing to do episodes on refrigerants and the evolution of them. ADAS, calibration specialist that you need to have, was out in New Jersey this past weekend on a little mini boat trip. Guy comes up to me and says, Carm, I got a building with some space. It's close by my shop. I'm going to put an ADAS calibration center in there. I looked at him and I said, it's genius. It's brilliant. You need to. You must. Actually, I told him that you would maybe call him and set him in the right direction. And now we're hanging out at the NAPA EV Ready Training Center, and I'm just being immersed into, if you will, concepts, and we're picking up equipment and we're seeing what can go wrong. We're also seeing what could go right. And if we've never been in such a high-tech revolution that we can't ignore, or it looks to me like all the top shop operators are looking at this stuff, Matt, like you have forever, as opportunities. You're the go-to place in Riverside.
I mean, yeah, if I would dare credit myself with anything, it would be the interest in what's coming. I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive.
Yeah.
I want to be a little bit ahead of the curve so that we're not surprised. Not that we aren't going to get surprised or haven't been surprised, but stack the odds in our favor, that we have equipment ready to properly hoist EV vehicles like Teslas, that we have personal protection equipment available, that it's on site, that we have the proper scan tools, or, we don't have to stay focused just on EV, to try to get into the ADAS stuff as soon as we could, and collaborating with collision shops. Yes, that was very selfish of me because of bringing more work into Riverside, but also providing a service and programming, stuff like that.
Matt, they don't want to do it.
Exactly. And
it's smart. You've gone out and said, hey, we'll do all your calibration stuff for you. Thanks, Matt.
yes,
Not everyone has to spend $60,000 on a unit.
correct.
Anyway, I should have said Red Wing, not Riverside. You're the go-to person in Red Wing, Minnesota,
Well, I mean,
not Riverside.
Right, but even at Riverside, I think that's
Automotive. That's the name
a
of the
big
shop.
time.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of my role there, though, is trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And if there's certain services that need to be changed to make them better,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like an assigned role, but it's a role that I've taken on, and I think it's appreciated. So yeah, there's stuff that we used to do a certain way before that we now do differently because I've found that there's a better way to do it.
My listener, don't get us wrong. We're not preaching here, but we're passionate about all the stuff that we're so familiar with. I mean, we're talking to important people in the industry that are saying things. We're talking to shop owners that have a great vision. They're doing some things. And when we get the pulse, Matt, you and I, because you're so connected, you're as connected even more than I am, we just want to tell that story. And sometimes it comes across as we're not selling, we're telling. But sometimes people need to be told.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And cars are complex. I mean, there's really no way around it. If you start looking up like lines of code, cars have way more lines of code than military fighter jets. Way more lines of code than I think even Facebook and Google. We're up there.
And these modules aren't playing nice together.
Yeah, 100+ lines of code. Yeah. And I'm not saying we're in there writing the code or we're in there editing the code to a degree, but no, I'm just kidding. It's not like we're in there as software engineers, but cars are complex and there's a lot of different systems, right? Think about the range of a vehicle for skill sets. There's the stuff we would qualify as gravy, the maintenance stuff, maybe some brakes. I think everybody kind of knows what I mean by the gravy work. But then it goes all the way over here to ultra complex. Can I get used modules to work with this car? Do I have a network issue causing a parasitic drain intermittently? It gets super complex. That's the range we're working with. And then technology is coming in, and EV is nothing new, right? I think there was an EV before there was an ICE engine or car.
Yes, there was.
But we're getting hit with high technology EV vehicles from multiple manufacturers, and some are investing heavy into it, and some of them aren't anymore, and they're going different directions with maybe hydrogen fuel. That's what the future holds. And I think it's a responsibility to ourselves and our customers to stay relevant, to just be aware of these things and start, again, being proactive. Where does my shop, or where do I as a technician fall in this? Do I have any interest in dealing with EV cars? Is there enough to be worried about, first of all? Where I live is Goodhue, population of 1,000. Am I really worried about EVs there? Probably not. There might be one or two in town. Red Wing? Okay, well, we're seeing there is a hybrid vehicle in our shop, at least one per day, at least. And some people listening to that are laughing or scoffing like, oh, one a day. Listen to you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's nothing.
I'm not even in it. And I know that.
But you're in Red Wing.
I'm in Red
How
Wing.
many people? 15,000?
Maybe 20,000
okay.
tops. Right. Is it worth investing in tools and equipment and training for hybrids? Yeah. If only for knowledge enough to know when I don't need to be wearing high voltage gloves. If I go to training, yes, I know I don't need to be wearing my high voltage gloves when I plug the scan tool in. But there are people that feel very strongly that it's possible when I plug my scan tool into the DLC, I could get smacked with high voltage. So I should be wearing my gloves when I plug my scan tool in. There are people that think that, technicians that think that. I'm not calling them dumb, untrained. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
There's vehicles that get towed to our shop, hybrid vehicles, because the 12-volt battery is dead. And the shops do not want to deal with the hybrids and voltage. Like those two together, regardless of high voltage, low voltage, is it a dig at them? Absolutely not. Why would I take a dig at them? Do I think they might be capable of dealing with these cars? Certainly. Do they want to? No. Then why should? They're not obligated. They're sending them to me. I'm appreciative to it. But there's a lack of training, a lack of being proactive. They're reacting by sending it somewhere else.
Yesterday, Bill said, don't jumpstart an EV with another EV. And I think the room kind of chuckled like you did, but he explained.
Don't, because somebody tried it.
Yeah.
Or try to charge the high voltage battery pack by dragging the car behind another vehicle and spinning motor generator thinking you can charge it up.
So we're already trying to take
Somebody probably already did it successfully, but it was probably a lot of work.
Don't take shortcuts. He also said something what I found interesting, that Europe has completely different safety and standards for EVs than we do.
Yeah, I think the standards are a lot harsher. It's smaller too, probably a little bit easier to govern. I think mechanics in general are thought of a little bit differently over there, maybe in a little more high regard. I don't think I can speak knowledgeably about if they're required to have certain credentials to do stuff or licenses. But it's definitely a different culture, if you will, in dealing with them.
So a few hours ago, you and I were at another place, and we saw a battery lift, an EV battery lift. Yep. I was fascinated. I mean, there were 4 wheels on the bottom of every corner. I mean, 2 wheels on every corner. This thing, I think it was somewhere near the $15,000 range. Yep. That one day, if you're going to get serious in the future on doing EVs, and you're going to have to place your batteries, to have, as an example, this Tesla, you could so fine-tune the level and the position of that battery so that you got it into the exact spot.
The purpose is twofold. One is it's not unlike a powertrain table in that what you're lifting or removing from under the vehicle is heavy.
Yeah.
So if you have a powertrain table and you're removing the engine transaxle together, there's a fair bit of weight. The old way of doing that was the hoist had the vehicle lifted up a little bit. You're under that on a creeper, lining up jack stands and wood blocks and all that, loosening everything, and then lifting the hoist away from the engine and transaxle. Where the powertrain tables allowed you to have the vehicle all the way up in the air and then line this all up and then lower them down together and then put it all back together later with just one technician, instead of the old way, while 1 or 2 people are laying under the car, there's one running the hoist and maybe one on top watching. It was a 2, 3, 4 person operation to get everything lined up again and bolts started and all that, where the powertrain table allowed you to have one technician do it all by themselves and help line it up, everything. Same thing with the EV table, EV battery table, that you can now lower that out. Really one person, because they can lower it down very slowly and make sure everything's disconnected. Not that there's just so much, but just, as an example, for the purpose of conversation. And then you're lowering it and they can do what they need to do, whatever that may be. When they go back together, it's still a 1-person operation that they can slowly lift it up, tweak it, align things, rather than having a group of people over there trying to take this hundreds of pounds battery and force it this way, and we got to go a little bit more to the left. No, your left, not my left. And it makes perfect sense. And it seems like a lot of money, But again, if you're going to be doing a few,
if you're going to be serious,
you will make your money back because it's going to be just one person has to do it. You're not taking production away from others.
Go to their shop because they've got the battery lift and we don't.
Yes.
Yeah. See, Matt and I were doing a little bit of a promotion piece for AAPEX, and we were standing next to the device. So look either in your emails or social media, find this really cool little 3-minute thing that Matt and I did on AAPEX. Orange cables. I mean, Bill it's the orange cable. It's the orange cable. It's the blue cable. It's the black cable. It's the orange cable. He probably mentioned orange cable 100 times yesterday. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so. Yep. We got to respect the orange cables.
At least know what they are. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're high voltage. That's all there is to it. The danger level, I don't know. I don't want to blow it off either, but generally they're heavily insulated. Things are protected, but still things go wrong. Your worst day.
Right.
Bad things happen.
Basic is don't be afraid. Just be respectful.
Yeah. I couldn't stress that enough. Just respect it a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like if you work with a tiger, right?
Speaking of tigers, what about the bear? What about the bear in the woods?
You want to know where it goes? I'm just kidding. Okay, we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
All right, we've been talking about a lot of things. We've actually figured out how to rule the world here. Earlier today, we were drawing schematic plans. Wait till you see this idea Matt and I have for you.
I had this correlation, and it's one of Matt's correlations, so it's probably terrible. And I'm probably gonna make a lot of enemies with this, but there was a quiz that was circulating where somebody said that they asked a group of women, what would they rather be stuck in the woods with? A man, human man, grown man, or a bear? Now, granted, they didn't actually say what kind of bear, but let's just say for the sake of discussion, a grizzly bear. And let's just say it's hungry. And per this poll, women said they'd rather be out there with the bear. Now, I find that to be absolutely absurd.
Oh, by the way, this has nothing to do with EV training, right?
No.
It's just
but I just find it terrifically absurd. However, it does something that has to be acknowledged. Absolutely. Is many, if not all women have had a very uncomfortable, if not horrific experience with a man. That has to be acknowledged. And something we as a society need to address and work on and all that. Fine. Soapbox gone. You have a far better chance of living by going with the guy because the vast majority of the men are going to try to get out of the woods too and bring you with and be a hero or just be nice, normal people. Fine. The bear, if he's hungry, your food. Play dead all you want. He'll just eat you while you play dead. Okay. I was likening that because of the thought process of women answering that way. If it's true, that the poll is true that women answered that way, that they'd rather be in that forest or woods with a bear, I likened that to another kind of a story where there's a boss, a CEO, pulls into a parking spot at their place of business while an employee is walking by, and they get out of their whatever supercar, get out of their Lamborghini, and the employee stops to admire the vehicle, and the CEO gets out and walks up next to the employee and throws their arm around their shoulder and nice car, ain't it? Oh, wow. Yeah. If you work really, really, really hard for another year or two, I could buy another one of these. Employees sympathize with that. I don't know how often that really happens. In all honesty, how many repair shops is the owner killing it that bad that they're kind of like, yeah, I'm going to take the wife and kids out on a long vacation in our new fifth wheel pulled by our new truck and all that. And you're out there admiring the setup. And then they walk over and they're like, if you work really, really hard for another couple of years, I'll be able to add a boat. They don't do that.
Or I'll buy a bus.
Right. Because they're not killing it that bad. They're probably making, in a lot of cases, we know a lot of shop owners, a lot. And I think the podcast, ARN, we are subjected to where we mingle with very successful shop owners. We still know a lot of them that for many, many, many years made less than their employees. Mm-hmm. And that's no joke. And yet you tell that story with the supercar and the CEO, they're like, yeah, that's how bosses are. Right? If I work harder, they're going to do better. It's kind of BS.
I don't want to get started down that pathway because I kind of disagree with that wholeheartedly, that this is the approach that any CEO needs to make to his people, because I think his role is to have his people have the best car and the best home and the best retirement plan, that he helps be in charge of them working together toward this common good for everyone.
And I think that's what most of them want.
Anyway,
the vast majority.
You have been doing such incredible shows on Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z podcast here on the Aftermarket Radio Network. I just want to give you tons of compliments. Off the charts, really good stuff. I don't know, you staying up at night thinking of this stuff? What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't think my brain ever shuts off.
I know it doesn't.
You guys had to create a whole new channel on Slack for me to just list episode ideas.
Yeah. We should just publish that one day.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Oh, okay.
There's some wild ones. I don't know.
Some we have to say, no, man, I don't think so.
I don't know if that'll land.
But some of them we've taken after we've incubated and thought about it a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking large. Thanks for thinking outside the box. Thanks for bringing on just incredible guests. Thanks for pushing the envelope. It's not about diagnostics as much as it's about life diagnostics. I mean, that's what A to Z means in your show. 100 and some episodes. How long's it been? How many we got?
It's got to be pushing 2 years.
Yeah.
He's like 138.
138. Wow. It's over 2 years. So thank you for being on with us. Thank you for the energy you bring and this stuff. And it's rare that we can just hang out for 4 days and do stuff. Oh, by the way,
I mean, hanging out with you has been a treat.
Oh,
why did we brought Tracy with? I'm not really sure.
So as we're going to end this episode, we're going to tell you an inside scoop here. We, in Vision this year in Kansas City, we did this chicken wing thing. It took an hour and a half to get the wings finally into the studio, and they were cold. And what happens to cold wings is they become rubbery.
The skin was very slimy. Some of them were quite slimy.
I think rubbery and slimy is pretty close, right? They were silicone wings. That's what they were.
Yeah.
And so we were a little disappointed, and we went through this thing. We recorded it, and we put out, if you go on our YouTube channel, right? Carm Capriotto YouTube channel, you can see this great wing thing. And Tracy and I were disappointed.
You guys being buffalo wing snobs.
So we're down here in Canton. We had Matt fly to Buffalo on Sunday, and then we took him to the originator of the buffalo wing. That is the Anchor Bar, and the homage to Teresa Bellisimio and the story behind her. We actually sat near the kitchen where Teresa did her thing, and we were with Brian Pollock, who lives in the area, and me, Tracy, Brian, and Matt did 20 wings, split them all up in different ways. And we weren't just satisfied with that, so we had to do a little test. Okay, Tracy did all this. She coordinated everything. She's sitting here to my left. Then went to another place, which is supposed to be the number one wing place in Buffalo, called Bar Bill. Mm-hmm. And I actually preferred the Anchor Bar over Bar Bill. But we, in like 2 hours at lunchtime on that Sunday, we ate a ton of wings.
Yeah, we did.
Fun. It was
I
great.
didn't regret it though. Yeah. I think the texture of the ones at the Anchor were better. They're crispy. The sauces were, I think, probably like cooked into the wing more, if you will.
Yeah. Instead of slimed up.
Yeah. Whereas the
barbell,
you could tell they cooked the wings, however, fried them, and then tossed them in the sauce, dumped them into the plate, and poured the sauce on top of it and brought them out. But I think in both places we had the hottest ones, right? Extremes and Suicidal.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as hot as the Death Wings we had in Kansas City, but the flavors were vastly superior. Yeah. I mean, the texture, of course, and like you said, it took them a while to get the wings there. We might have to give them a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, you're right.
On the textures, but the flavors were vastly superior. And the Suicidal wings were very hot, and the Extreme wings at Anchor were extremely hot, but not like destroy your mouth and ruin your ability to taste anything. They had some flavor to them. Like Brian and I think probably could have put down another order of the Suicidals because they were that good. They're just good. Yeah, it burned your mouth and your lips a little bit, but it wasn't, I don't know. I guess I've had stuff where it burns your mouth and there's no point in having any flavor. You're not going to taste anything anymore. I've had that. This wasn't that.
Tracy's here with us. And so here's the deal. Why did it take us this long to start doing wing challenges? Why did it take so long?
Well, it was Matt's idea because he said at Vision he wanted to do something with hot ones.
Okay.
So that's how it was developed.
But we're from Buffalo. Why didn't we do this in the past?
I just
Why
steal
did it
ideas.
just
we were
take?
waiting for Matt to fly to Buffalo.
Okay. So we've got to keep this theme kind of going, I think.
Yeah.
When we go down to Raleigh this fall, we need to figure out how to do a wing challenge down there.
Wings, and waffles. Too.
Oh, wings. Oh, don't
With Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac. Oh, my God. That's another story.
Isn't that like, it's not waffles, it's a waffle iron.
Yeah.
And then Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah. Krispy Kreme donuts and a waffle iron.
It's caramelized.
Yeah, I know. That's what they used to call me in the past. Go get caramelized with Carm me. Matt Fanslow, Tracy Capriotto. We're here in Canton. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks.